Hey, what's up guys, Mashine here, come back with a brand new video for you guys. Today we're going to be going over the full investing guide for 2022. Now here we're going to be going pretty broad. We're going to be talking broadly. I've got 14 different things that we're going to be talking about today. It really depends on how you want to group them. However, there's a lot of different things we're going to be talking about. We're going to go pretty broad. We're going to be talking about how expensive this item is, the risk of this item, and the potential reward of this item here. We're going to give a few examples for each and we're going to hop right on into it. But before we do, if you guys are looking to pick up any CSGO skins or potentially any items on these lists, we've got a couple links down in the description that'll help you out. So first up here, we need to talk about our grading scale. Here in pink, we've got super low, not very common. You're going to see this. Same with extremely high. We actually don't have any extremely highs on the list today. However, when we've got our low and low plus generally is closer to medium than it is to low, and that's the same thing going with medium plus. It's going to be closer to high than it is to medium. It's the in-between between both of those. I think it's definitely something really important to know. However, you're going to see the color combinations here on the spreadsheet. If you do want to take a look at it, it's going to be down in the description. I'm not going to show it on screen throughout the video though, because I think it's kind of distracting. But I want to thank you guys so much for watching and I hope you enjoy it. First up here, we've got the prime/active cases. Now these ones are the ones you're mainly going to be seeing drops for. This is like your snake bite, your fracture, any of those recent cases. This is all 5 of them on the screen. These ones I went ahead and gave it a cheap rating for price. Obviously, I mean the maximum you're looking at is the clutch case, which right now is under 20 cents, so it's definitely not expensive to get your hands on. The risk of this item, I put medium plus. Now it all depends on where you get it. If you buy it at 3 cents, the risk is going to be very slim. However, if you buy it at 10 cents and it sits in your inventory for 2 years, to me that seems like a lot of lost ROI potentially, so I went ahead and put it at a medium plus just because your money might be stagnant for a little bit, and the reward of this item is possibly high. We've seen cases double in price, potentially even triple in price depending on what happens to them. We saw the Prisma case go from 4 cents to 12 cents, so there's definitely a lot of potential here if one gets pulled. However, that's mainly what you're going to be going for here. After that, we've got our older/rare cases. Now these ones you're going to be looking at a medium price point. Now you'll notice in this list, medium price point generally means a lot of different things. It's just kind of whatever's not cheap and whatever is not super expensive here. So there's cases that could range from $1 to $40 and still make the medium price range. The risk of these items generally is pretty low. Now this is all talking generally here. We're not going to be talking about when you're buying at an all-time high of $4 for a breakout case right now. That'd just be a bad idea because it's just at the peak. So we're going to be talking generally speaking if you're able to get in for a good price point. And the reward of this item is usually going to be a medium. A medium is something that you're generally going to be making a decent amount of money. After that, we've got our active skins. Now these are any skins that are coming from the active or prime cases or have just recently been moved out of the active or prime case rotation. These are usually ones that have been released in the past couple of years. Generally, you're looking at a medium price point with a high level of risk here, and the reward of the item is super low. This is pretty much the worst thing you can do from an investment standpoint. Now that doesn't mean you shouldn't buy it. If you think some skins are looking cool, you definitely should. You need to have a balance there of whether you're going to invest or whether you're going to be looking for some cool skins. I think it's definitely going to be hurting your game experience if you're only going for investment purposes, only playing this game. However, speaking of which, if you're going for investment purposes only, these are what you're going to want to stay away from generally speaking. After that, we've got the older skins, pretty much the opposite of your active skins here. Now this one is going to be pretty much any skin that has been popular for a bit, but it's been out for at least 2 years here. This is usually around the medium price point, and you've got a low plus risk on this item, and I think you're definitely going to be able to secure a medium reward of this item generally speaking. These are ones that usually just slowly rise in value, and that's exactly what you're going to be expecting here. You're not going to be expecting a super high jump in price point. Obviously, if we're seeing a buff or a nerf or something like that, we might see some changes in price, but generally speaking, these are the ones like your Op Asimov that just slowly go up in price. After that, we've got our extremely old skins. Now these ones, generally you're looking at a high price point. That's basically what separates the older skins from the extremely old skins here, is the price point. These ones, they're going to be pretty expensive, let's be honest here. If you're looking at something that's in maybe the Bravo collection, something like a Fire Serpent or an Emerald Dragon or something like that, it's going to be expensive. But generally speaking, it's going to have a super low level of risk. You're not going to find a lot of risk here because there's not a lot of supply for these items. And the reward of the item, I went with low plus just because there's definitely that possibility that these skins can run up pretty quickly. However, similar to the older skins, you're probably just going to get a slow growth up, and it's definitely not a bad idea if you're looking for a little bit of a secure position. It's the only super low level of risk we have on this list, and provided the game does not fall off, you're generally going to be sitting in a pretty decent position. After that, we have agents. Now, agents are really hard. I've personally never invested into agents. I've never been too big into agents myself. I feel that that's not really a big CSGO thing, and honestly, it's not something I am very accurate in ranking here because I don't know a ton about the agent community and the agent investing market here. I went with a medium price point. You could honestly go with a cheap price point here though. I went with a medium plus level of risk with a low plus reward of the item. I went with an overall -2 rating for this one. I think honestly there's a lot of risk with agents just because you're basically looking for the hype to bring this to be a good investment rather than anything actually about the investment. Yes, it is discontinued and there's a fine number of these agents out there. However, pretty much everyone who wants an agent, at least at this point, can go ahead and get it, and there's still no problem of supply. Maybe in a couple years down the line, if you're looking to possibly buy one now and hold it for many years, you could be looking at a decent payday. However, that's personally not the way I'm going. After that, we've got our souvenir packages. Now, we're not talking about Stockholm here. That's one big thing we gotta mention. Not Stockholm, because Stockholm's a little bit different. It's the first major we've had in a couple years. We're going to exclude it for this thing. It'll get its own separate rating here. But I went with a medium/high price point of this item. We could be talking about a $10 train case. We could be talking about a $1,000 cobblestone case. So there's very big differences here. The risk of the item generally is a low plus. There's a finite supply of these, and most of them have a decent amount of demand with a low plus reward of the item. Unless you're looking at a cobblestone here, generally speaking, it's probably not going to be sold too often. And it's one that you're going to be looking for a very niche amount of buyers. It's not going to be very broad. There's going to be a couple specific people that are after it. After that, we've got our major capsules. Now we're talking about like the sticker capsules that you're able to buy at majors with all the autographs in them and such. Generally speaking, you're going to be looking at a medium price point here. I think the risk of this item is usually a low plus. There's usually a heavy amount of demand for these. However, the price point is where it's at. Now, it's very rangeable with this one. We could be talking about the Berlin capsule. We could be talking about the Krakow capsules here. So this one definitely ranges a lot, as with most of these. However, I went with a low plus rating for the risk and the reward of this item here. I think this is one that generally is going to follow the market. It might slightly underperform compared to the market here, but it also has its times, definitely like we saw with that sticker brush back in 2021, where we can see a lot of profit potentially being made here. After that, we've got our Stockholm items. Now these ones range significantly. However, I'm generally going with a cheap price point with a medium plus amount of risk here. There's a decent amount of risk here because like we saw with the RMR capsules, you can definitely decrease in price from that 25-cent price point. Not something we expected to see, but it is something we saw, and I went with a high, potentially reward of this item. It's very dependent on how this item goes. If there's just too much in supply, it ranges significantly. So this one definitely is going to be potentially a really good payday if we're looking 5 years down the line and there's only a handful of these left. After that, we're heading back and we're talking about major stickers here. Now this is more referring to the team stickers, and this is not Stockholm, and this is one that we're mainly going to be talking about in the medium price category. You're usually not going to be finding these for very cheap, since most of them end up being like the hollow and foil capsules or just the paper stickers itself. Generally though, they've got a low plus level of risk with them. They're usually not going to decrease in price, especially after all these years. They've kind of stabilized. The reward of this item, you're looking at a medium/low plus here. It really depends on which team you go for, how popular, if they disband, if they have any drama. It ranges significantly based on the team here, but there is a decent amount of profit to be made if you go into the right team. After that, we've got our purchasable sticker capsules. Now these are the ones that you can buy from the shop in CSGO for $1. Generally on the Steam market, they're a little bit cheaper because of currency differentiations and stuff like that, but generally speaking, you've got a low plus risk with this item. It's usually not going to lose 50% of your money instantly. However, the reward of this item is super low. In my opinion, I don't think we're ever going to see any of these pulled from the shop, and I think it's really foolish to invest that way. I think your best chance here is honestly just going to make sure that if something does happen, you're there on the Steam market buying up a couple then for that price point that's maybe 10% over market price then, because it's probably going to skyrocket at that point. As with most like things that are just absolutely removed from the game, I think overall though, it's a pretty foolish move to invest into these at this time. After that, we've got operation skins. Now these range significantly from cheap to high. Obviously, we're talking about something like the Desert Hydra that's going to be significantly more expensive than cheap, so we had to put a range here. Risk of item, generally speaking, you're looking at a medium. This, however, does decrease over time. The risk does go down how far in the past you go with these skins, and the reward of your item goes from a medium plus, but it also goes like the risk. It decreases down how far in the past we're looking. Now this is with the idea that you're probably going to hold this for a long time, to the point where trade-ups have taken out a significant amount of the supply here. If you're looking for short term, this one's not going to be for you in my opinion. I don't think that we're going to see like super big spikes that you're able to sell and make tons of profit with this one. However, if you're holding on to it, this could potentially be a ton of profit coming your way. Next up then, we've got discontinued items, and we're talking operation specific. This could be anything from stickers to graffiti. Now we've seen a lot of different price ranges with this one, and we've seen a lot of different fluctuations. We've seen the stickers from Shattered Web do absolutely terrible, but on the flip side, we've also seen some really interesting things from the Broken Fang operation do well. This one I'm going with a cheap price level because they're generally all pretty cheap here, with a medium plus risk of this item and the reward to a medium/medium plus here. I think both of these are fitting accurate. It's somewhere in between medium and medium plus. I think definitely though, personally, I'm going to avoid this unless you're picking some up for super cheap. That'd be the only reason you're looking to invest here, is that they're so cheap, and there is definitely a chance they could go up in price pretty easily. However, for me personally, I think I'm going to stick my money somewhere else. Finally then, for our last real rating, we're talking about the sticker capsules, and these are the droppable ones. Most popular is the sticker capsule 2, and that's got the crown foil in it. These ones, generally speaking, they've got a low plus level of risk, just because there are some still dropping. There is a chance that the absolute supply of them just gets flooded by Valve messing up somehow. I do find it extremely low, however, it is still there, so I can't give it lower than a low plus, since these could potentially have thousands stored away in a storage unit, since the supply right now is a bit lower. Reward, we're talking about a medium level reward. I think there's definitely a lot of profit to be made here, especially with the most expensive capsule only sitting at like $16 right now. I think there's definitely a pretty decent potential here. Finally then, we've got our music kits, etc. Any weird wacky item here. And I didn't give these a rating. I put it cheap to medium price, but it's hard to give these a rating. They're just such unique things that you're not looking at them from an investment standpoint to make money, in my opinion. These ones, they're all going to be based on hype. No one's really out there demanding these items. There's not a ton of demand for these items. I think it's definitely going to be more hype based than anything when we're looking at something like this. But that's really all I have for today, guys. Let me know what you thought of this. If there's anything major I'm missing, anything you need me to make a follow-up video or a part 2 or anything like that. I think we hit most of the major things here, and it's definitely worth a full watch if you've only watched a couple bits and pieces. But I want to thank you guys so much for watching. It's one of my longer videos, but thanks for sticking through it. And I want to thank you guys so much, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.